Hello and welcome to a new video. In this video, we are going to discuss functions. We've already seen many examples of functions. For example, we've seen the absolute value function. We know that this function needs one number as an argument. Okay, so the input or the argument to this function will be one number, and we expect the result to be that number in absolute value. Okay, another example of function, we've seen the round function. The round function can take one or two arguments. The first one being the number you want to round, and the second one is the number of decimal places. And what do you expect as a result? You expect one number, which is x, rounded to the decimal places. Now, we've been dealing with functions as a black box, which means we don't care what is going on inside the function. We just care about what do I need to provide as input and what do I expect as output. Let's assume there is a function called cube volume. Now, this function is responsible for calculating the volume of a cube. In order to be able to calculate the volume of a cube, I need one piece of information, which is the side length. Okay, and the output of this function will be just the volume, which is side length cube. Now, this function does not exist in Python, okay? What we will do today is we will create this function ourselves. So let's see how we are going to do this. In order to create a function, you will start by the keyword def, then you will write your function name. This can be any name you can, any name you choose, except you have to follow the naming rules for variables, okay? If you name a function. So after the name, you will write parentheses, and here you will write a variable name for your argument. Remember, this function needs one input, which is the side length. So I'm going to call my variable side length. And after this, you write colon. Now this function, again, has one purpose, calculating the volume using this formula, side length to power 3. Now, in order to provide the output back to the user, in order to give the user the output of the function, I have to use the return statement. Okay, the return statement is going to take whatever you evaluate in the function, for example, volume, and give it back to the user. Now, I have a complete function. If I run this, nothing happens. Notice a function definition is not executed. Okay, Python just read the function definition. It does not execute any part of the code here. So for example, if you have print statement inside the function definition and you run, you don't have any output. Why? Because again, functions definitions are not executed. They are just read by Python. Python just read the code. It does not execute anything. Now, how do I execute the function? I need to call it. Okay, how do I call a function? I use the function name, parentheses, then I provide a value for the argument. Here I need one argument for the side length. I'll provide value 2 for it. Now, remember this function give you back the volume. Okay, it will return the volume. You can store this inside a variable called v. Then I can print v. Now, what will happen when I run this cell is Python will go over the definition. It will not execute it. It will just read it. Then you will have an assignment statement. Okay, this is outside the function, so Python will execute it. Python always start executing from outside the function. Okay, so we have this code outside the function. We have this code inside the function. Where does execution start? Execution starts from outside the function. So we will have this statement here. It's an assignment statement. You will start from the right side. This is a function call. So you will jump to cube volume. Okay, so from this line here, you will jump to the function definition. Now, what do you do in this case? You will take number 2 and you will store it inside the variable side length. So side length in this case is equal to 2. And you will enter the first statement of the function, which is volume equal to 2 to the power 3, which is simply 8. Then you will return volume. Now, what does the return statement actually do? It does the following. Okay, what we have is you take whatever variable or value you are returning and you replace the function call with that value. So you can imagine that this line is written like this, v equal to 8. Basically, again, cube volume, the function call, is going to be replaced by the value of the return statement, which is 8. So now we are storing 8 inside v, and I am printing v. So if you run this code, you get 8. This operation we've done here, which is taking the argument, storing it inside the variable, this is called parameter passing. Okay, why parameter passing? Because the variable name here, the variable itself, is called parameter. The actual number you provide, number 2, this is called argument. So when you call a function, you'll provide an argument, which is an actual value, to the variable inside the function definition, which we call parameter. Okay, let's take another example. So we called this function once. Let's call it again. Now this time, I will store the result inside a variable called result, and I will call the function cube volume with argument equal 10. And here I will print result. Now, what will happen here? The first line of code is to be executed as the one right here, v equal cube volume. Remember, execution starts from outside all functions. Now, what will happen is the following. You will assign 2 to side length. Then you will calculate 2 cube, 8, store it inside volume, then return 8. So v will be 8. So now if I ask you, what is the value of side length in the beginning? On the first function call, it's equal to 2. Now we are done with the first function call, with the first statement. What do? I will execute the second function call. So now we will start from the right again. This is assignment statement. What do? You will take 10 and you will store it inside side length. Okay, then you will calculate volume equal to 10 to the power 3, which is equal to 1,000. Then you will return 1,000. So we will store 1,000 inside the variable result. In this case, side length in the second function call was 10. So notice that in each function call, the variable side length will have different value based on the argument you provide. Okay. So when I run this, I will have 2 values, 8 and 1,000. Okay. Now let's take another example of a function. This time we will create a function to calculate the area of a square. Okay. So to call this function, it will be something like this. Assume the function name is sq area, and you provide the length of the side of the square. So when I print a here, I am expecting 16, right? So I will define the function down below. I will write def sq area, and I will provide a variable for the argument. let's call it side. Then I will simply write area equal to side to power 2 and return area. Now, if I run this, notice that you get a name error. Name SQ area is not defined. But I already defined the function here. So what is the problem? The problem is Python will start from the top, right? So what you have here is you are using square area function before its definition. You are using the function before telling Python what exactly is this function. Whenever you call a function and this function is defined in your code, you have to make sure basically that the definition appears before the call, okay? The call is executed after the definition. So if you run this, you get 16 as expected. Okay. So that's it for this video, and I will see you on the next one. Thank you for watching.